Introduce us. I'm Robert Wright of Blogging Heads TV. This is an episode of Worldwise. And your name is Kuti, and you're in South Sudan. And I'll let you pronounce your last name. You want to give us your full name?
My name is Kuti Kabash Lalu. I'm living in Sudan, in South Kordofan, Bamota.
Okay. So let me explain a couple of things. First of all, you're using a satellite connection to Skype, which means we sometimes have trouble hearing each other. In particular, I sometimes have trouble hearing you. The signal breaks up, but we're going to do the best we can. Secondly, let me explain to people, in case they don't know, that as I understand it, you are in a refugee camp in South Sudan, which is, I believe, the youngest country in the world. It got its independence from Sudan a little more than a year ago. Is that right?
Sure.
Okay, and you came from a part of Sudan, in the southern part of Sudan, known as South Kordofan, I think, and but now you're in South Sudan, which again is a separate country from Sudan. And do you want to tell us a little bit about why you had to flee from your homeland and come to South Sudan?
Sure. I'll explain something little why I flee from my Sudan to from my homeland to any other place in South Sudan, just because of war, which is took place on 6 June 2011. This clash between the SPLM-NOS and the NCP. And a result of that, because of election that has the announced and fair results, that's why war broke out and people had to flee to South Sudan.
Okay, now I couldn't hear much of that. I mean, I think it's being successfully recorded so that our viewers will be able to hear it, but I'm afraid we're going to have to get through a lot of this without me understanding everything you've said. Let me give you, let me say a little something about my understanding of the situation, and it may overlap with what you said, and it may be wrong, in which case you can correct it. But first of all, there has been, there had been tension and a lot of conflict between what is now the country of South Sudan and Sudan before South Sudan seceded from Sudan. And the tension and sometimes conflict has persisted. And then beyond that, I gather there are still, in the part of Sudan you came from, the southern part of Sudan proper, I gather there are rebels who are fighting the Sudanese government, and the government is bombing there and so on, right? So I guess the people, or some people in South Kordofan, where you came from, they want their independence from Sudan. Is that right?
Yes. Some people.
Okay, and
okay.
Okay, you can go ahead and elaborate if you want and say more.
South Sudan, those South Kordofan people, these are Kushite, Nubian people. These are a native of the land. They have been denied their right since Sudan got independent. In 1993-83, they joined SPLM in South Sudan. They lived together until 2005. They signed a comprehensive peace agreement. So people of South Kordofan were given a popular consultation, which is supposed to be took place before the independence of South Sudan. but it could not take place because NCP did not want South Kordofan people to suggest whether they will belong to South or they will still gain Northern Sudan. So that's the reason after the independence of South Sudan, then the election of South Kordofan came to end, and because of that, the announcement of the results were not clear, and that's why war broke out in South Kordofan.
Okay, again, I couldn't hear all of that, but I think you referred to the Nuba or Nubian people. Is that right?
Yes, Nubian people.
And that's the group to which you belong, right? You are Nubian.
No, I'm Nubian.
And are Nubians, in terms of religion and language, what is the difference? I mean, I gather that in Sudan, in the northern part of Sudan, almost everyone is Muslim, and most of the people are Arabs as well. But the Nubian people are different in those respects, right? I mean, what is the religion of most of the Nubian people?
Sure. Most of the Nubian people, most of them they are Muslim, and some also are Christian. It's also two religious being practiced in Nubian people.
So is the so I think I heard you say that many of them are in fact Muslim, and so the conflict is not really one along religious lines. The conflict between the reason that the Nubian people I guess largely want to be separate from Sudan. It's not a religious issue, or what?
Sure. We need to separate from northern people. Yeah, an issue also will be a religion issue, but it's not so much a religion. We want to be independent. A black person need to be rule themselves. We are tired to be ruled by any other people again. We are tired.
Okay, I have to say again, this is kind of a strange situation because I basically can't hear your answers. I mean, I can hear fragments and I can hear that you're talking, but this will, the fact that I can't hear you will change the nature of the conversation. But we'll do the best we can because I think it's really valuable for people to be able to hear your perspective. So can you tell us a little bit about, why exactly you made the decision to relocate to where you are now from your homeland? I mean, did what exactly got unacceptable about your conditions? Was there a threat? Did you feel your life was threatened? And tell us a little bit about your background. I mean, do you have a family? Do you have children or what?
To begin really, the situation back in Nuba Mountain is really terrorizing because of high bombardment everywhere and heavy artillery crossing from capital city of Dupli to the civilian areas. The situation is really getting worse because there is a ground attack. People did not cultivate just because of the heavy bombardment every day, at night, daytime, evening, afternoon, every time. There's no rest for the people to get to their farms. There's really serious hunger affecting people. There is malnutrition. People really suffer. I'm back to my side. I'm married. I have 2 children. They are now with me here. Since we started moving from Nuba Mountain, we start August, putting from Nuba to here. one in the way got sick, and I really suffered, and until when I came to Yida, I found MSF hospital. I had to take the key to the hospital and spend 2 weeks there in the hospital for the treatment. Now she's okay, better. So the life in Nuba Mountain is really serious, and people are facing the serious challenge because of hunger, higher bombardment, ground attack, and also heavy artillery across here. People don't have time to cultivate. There's no time, a single time to sit down, even to lay the fire, even to lay the torch only is a problem. There's no a time for that. People are running into the caves up the mountains. There's no any chances for them to come down and start doing farming activity.
Okay, and if you didn't tell us what you do for a living in the course of that, again, I couldn't hear it all. Can you tell us what you do for a living, or did you already tell us?
In farming, actually, what we are supposed to be, what we are doing in Nuba Mountain for living, actually people depend on farming and cattle rearing also. These are the two most things people are depending on. So as for now, because of higher bombardment and there's no chance for them also to go and rear cattle and cultivate. So this is why life is getting hard and hard.
Okay. Do you know how many refugees there are? How many people have, like you, come from the southern part of Sudan into South Sudan?
Actually, many of them came from Nuba Mountain to South Sudan. There are many. I cannot really exactly tell, but approximately a number 67,000, something like that.
And can you tell us what conditions are like in the refugee camp there, and who runs the refugee camp? Is it run by the United Nations or what? So who runs it, and what's it like there?
Condition here in refugee is okay, but UNHCR they are running refugee, but there's no enough food for the refugee. Only they are getting only sorghum or maize and lentils. But any other foods apart from that, there is no. Mostly what affected people here in the school, there is no school completely. And this is what we are after.
Okay, and do you expect to eventually go back to your homeland, or are you? How long have you been in the refugee camp? And do you expect to go back to your homeland, or do you think you may wind up living in the country of South Sudan?
I was here since 4th of November 2011 up to today. That's 1 year and almost 1 year and almost 2 weeks. I'm planning to go back to Nuba Mountain, but because of the heavy bombardment up to now, I have to stay until the situation normalizes, then I have to go back.
Well, does it seem like the situation is getting better in where you came from, or are things getting worse there? Or
the situation is even getting worse because the antelope, the maize, maize, other things is still there is heavy bombardment up to now. Even inside my land, last week there's been almost 10 bombs in my own land.
Well, if the and in your homeland, in that southern part of Sudan proper, if the rebels succeeded? I mean, is there a chance that the rebels will win? And if they win, what would their goal be? Do they want to join the country of South Sudan, or do they want to create a third country there, a third, so that there would be three countries, Sudan, South Sudan, and then their country, or what?
If we succeed, we need to create our own country. We have to be independent from South Sudan or from North Sudan. We need to be in a country itself.
Okay, I'm not sure. I didn't hear that entirely. Did you say they would want to create a third country?
Yeah, they want to create a third country again. In Nuba Mountain, Blue Nile, they want to create a third country.
Okay, so these people. So this is then South Kordofan we're talking about in Sudan. Are the people there different from the people in South Sudan in terms of religion or language? I mean, are the people in South Sudan, the country of South Sudan where you are now, are not Nubian?
They are not Nubian. These are Nilotic. They are not Nubian.
They are. So I think I heard you to say that they are. So is there are not big differences of religion and language between the people in South Kordofan and people in South Sudan?
Yeah, there's no different language. Even the religious is the same. There's a Muslim, and some of them they are Muslim, some of them they are Christian. So likewise to us in Nuba, some of us we are Muslim and some of us we are Christian. So there's no any difference. So.
Now, is I know a certain amount of the conflict between Sudan and South Sudan is about oil. There are lands in South Sudan that have oil. South Sudan has many fewer people than Sudan, but it has a fair amount of oil, and there's some in Sudan as well. What about your region in South Kordofan, that part of Sudan? Does that have oil, and is that one reason that the Sudanese government does not want to let go of it?
Sure. In South Kordofan, there's a lot of oil. Especially in the western part of South Kordofan, there's a lot of oil. That's why government of North, they are refused with the South Kordofan state for us.
Okay. And what is your expectation about what's going to happen in South Kordofan? I mean, what do you think is? How soon could the situation get resolved? And what do you think? I mean, will the rebels ever just give up? I mean, do you think it could just stay part of Sudan forever, or do you think the only resolution, the only lasting resolution, is if South Kordofan breaks away from Sudan?
I don't think people are focusing ahead. They want to change all the NCP party. That's the reason we want to change the old Sudan into New Sudan. That's the reason I don't think even if we try to capture South Kordofan, all still we are focusing ahead to change the old system of old Sudan.
Okay. Now, are there things that you wish outside countries would do to help? Whether the countries in Europe, other countries in Africa, the United States, and or whatever.
We need outside other countries to intervene and see the situation of people in South Kordofan, because right now, as I talk to you in Kadupli, there is harassment of women. They have been imprisoned just because they say they are taking information to the SPLM North. So we had humanitarian help to intervene and resolve some issue. So we need also other countries to support us with the school in Nuba Mountain, because since the war broke, there is no schools, there is no health. There's no good healthy services to the people in the ground and here in Yida.
Okay. I couldn't really hear that fully, so I'm sorry if this is if you've already answered this question. But is there something you wish that the outside world would do to put pressure on the leader of Sudan, al-Bashir, to make him change his policies toward South Kordofan?
Sure. This is what I'm talking. I want humanitarian, especially security, a community people to put the pressure on the government of Sudan to change the policy or the ruling system of all Sudan into new system, new Sudan system.
Okay. And one question I always ask people when I talk to people in a country other than the United States of America is how America is viewed in where you are. Are they very aware of America? Do they have feelings about it, whether it's doing good in the world or doing bad in the world, or what? Whether it's helping them or hurting them?
America are doing well because they send many journalists to come on the ground and collect the exact information from the ground. That's the best way you can see from the American people for the people of South Kordofan. They are collecting the right information from the ground, seeing the air bombardment themselves, and go and photograph the bombs on the ground and see themselves. So that's the right, they collect the right information from the ground. That's what Americans are doing. And we need more, we have more of them to put a pressure to the government to stop higher bombardment and change this policy of ruling and make the people the same people. Rule them like president.
Okay, and what about President Barack Obama? I mean, is he? How is he thought of? I assume that people are very aware of him there because of his own African ancestry. Is that right?
Sorry. Out on your question, I did not hear well.
Oh, okay. I asked about President Obama, the American President Barack Obama. Are there strong feelings about him in Africa? I mean, you know, he is, of course, of African ancestry himself. Is he? How do people there feel about him?
People feel about him here in Africa is very soft, especially to the president of Sudan, because this president of Sudan caused a genocide to the people, in particularly South Kordofan, in Untitled, in Darfur. So the arrest a warrant, and at the end of the day, they dissolve it again. So it's really soft to the president of Sudan. It's really soft.
Okay. I'll have to wait and watch this video myself to know exactly what you said, and that's true of pretty much the whole interview. But before we go, I just want to give you the chance to say anything that you haven't said that you would like the world to hear about your situation or anything.
I really want to tell the world that South Kordofan people, they are cooperative, they are understandable people, these are hardworking people, they are the native of Sudan, because of the oppression of Arabs, government of North did not give them chance to study. They were not given chance to exercise their rights. They are completely denied their rights. Besides that, during this war, there's higher bombardment, higher artillery crossing everywhere. People were not given a chance to go and cultivate. They are not given time to rear their cattle. No schools, no good hospitals. I'm arguing the world that they should look into this serious condition of people of Nuba Mountain. They need to be in the side of health, in the side of education, and the side of security. They need to be in. They are really dying every day and then. People are suffering, children are dying, people are running into the caves. There's no any help from someone. So we need to decide outside the world to intervene and arrest such a condition to the people of South Kordofan and Nuba Mountain at large.
Okay. Again, I didn't hear all of that, but I heard you say that the people of South Kordofan are denied their rights. As for the conditions there in the refugee camp where you are in South Sudan, I assume there are charities that people could give to that would help. That would direct money there so that they could improve conditions. I don't suppose you're aware of any charities that are specifically geared to, that are focused specifically on your situation there in South Sudan?
Yeah, in South Sudan, specifically, the life here is not totally improved because we have more than 8,000 children without school. The life here is hard. Children are running in the streets. They are moving. There's no school. There's no good food. There's high malnutrition. The life here is really hard.
Okay. Well, Kuti, thank you. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to be more responsive to what you said because I really wasn't able to hear very much of it. But I think, it's very important that people be aware of your situation. So I'm very glad that people will have a chance to hear what you say, and that I will have a chance to hear what you say when I watch the video. So thank you very much for your time, and good luck.
Thank you too, Robert. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye.